Old gadgets that quietly changed our lives, a calm tech story sometimes. The most important changes in our lives do not arrive loudly. They do not announce themselves. They come quietly and slowly become part of who we are. Tonight, let us slow down together, take a gentle step back in time, and remember a few old gadgets that once lived quietly in our hands, on our desks, and in our homes. Gadgets that did not demand attention, but still changed our lives forever. Let us begin. Before smartphones filled our pockets, mobile phones were simple, solid, and patient devices. They did not rush us, they waited. You might remember the weight of your first phone. The feel of the plastic, the small screen that glowed softly in the dark, the buttons that clicked gently with every press. Typing a message took time. Each letter required care. Mistakes were common, and deleting a word meant starting again. But somehow that slowness made every message feel more meaningful. When the phone rang, we noticed. We stopped what we were doing. We listened because calls were not constant, they were moments. These early phones taught us patience. They taught us how to wait. And in that waiting, they quietly shaped how we connected with one another. As mobile phones evolved, computers were quietly changing the world in another way. Old desktop computers and early laptops were not fast. They took their time to wake up. The screen would stay dark for a moment. Then slowly, a familiar logo would appear. There was a sound too. A soft hum, a spinning fan, a quiet reminder that something was coming to life. Sitting in front of those machines felt different. You were not rushed. You waited for programs to open. You waited for files to load. And in that waiting, you focused. People wrote letters, school assignments, and personal thoughts on these machines. Some learned their first skills. Some discovered creativity. Others simply played simple games to relax after a long day. These computers did not try to impress. They just worked, slowly, reliably. And they quietly opened doors to knowledge, imagination, and connection. Then there were the gadgets made for joy. Game consoles and handheld devices entered homes without much noise. They sat under televisions, they rested in drawers, they waited to be turned on. When they were, a soft glow filled the room. Simple music played, buttons clicked, screens flickered. There were no online rankings, no endless updates, just simple challenges and quiet fun. Friends sat side by side, siblings shared controllers. Time passed without being noticed. These gadgets did more than entertain. They created memories, they taught focus, they taught patience, and they gave moments of calm happiness without ever asking for more. Some gadgets were even smaller. MP3 players that held hundreds of songs, digital cameras that captured imperfect but honest memories, USB drives that carried important files in a pocket. They were not glamorous, they did not change every year, but they stayed with us. An MP3 player could turn a long walk into a peaceful escape. A digital camera could freeze a moment forever. A USB drive could hold a student's dreams, a worker's projects, or a family's memories. These devices did not speak, they did not distract. They simply existed and quietly became essential. What made these old gadgets special was not their power, it was their simplicity. They did one thing and they did it well. They allowed silence, they allowed focus. They allowed moments where life felt slower, calmer, and more intentional. We did not check them every minute, we did not feel controlled by them. We used them, and then we lived our lives. As time moved forward, newer technology arrived. Faster screens, brighter colors, instant connections, but something gentle was left behind. The quiet moments, the waiting. The feeling of being present. Old gadgets remind us of a time when technology supported life instead of competing with it. They remind us that progress does not always need to be loud. Sometimes the most powerful changes happen softly. Tonight, as you listen, perhaps one of these gadgets has come back to your mind. A phone you once owned, a computer you once used, a game you once played. Let that memory rest with you. There is no need to rush. In the quiet influence of these old devices, we can still find a sense of calm. And as you remember these devices, notice how quietly they shaped routines. The alarm clock, simple and unassuming, marked the rhythm of our days. It woke us, yes, but it also reminded us to pause. To start slowly, to listen to the silence before our day began. Old calculators and basic digital watches taught us precision without noise. They did not boast about their existence. They did not demand attention, yet they guided our daily actions. They reminded us that small tools, handled patiently, could shape life in subtle ways. Even the humble USB drive, no larger than a deck of cards, carried worlds within it. Documents, music, photos, games, all tucked away quietly. Accessible, yet unassuming. A soft presence in our pockets, ready whenever needed. These devices were companions, not loud friends, not flashy entertainers. They were steady, reliable, gentle. Sometimes thinking back on these gadgets can feel like looking through a soft window of memory. Each beep, each click, each soft glow triggers a recollection, a moment you forgot. A feeling you once held. Do you remember waiting for your turn on a Game Boy, or watching the pixelated screen of your first handheld console? Or the way a bulky laptop felt like a small universe sitting on your desk? These memories are gentle and quietly powerful. Technology today demands speed, instant responses, notifications that never stop. But tonight, we are far from that. Tonight, we honor the quiet influence of gadgets that asked little and gave much. The first phone, small and steady, taught patience. The early computer taught focus. The old handheld console taught joy without noise. And all the small gadgets, MP3 players, cameras, USB drives, taught that simplicity can be powerful. In their quiet, they let life be observed. In their stillness, they allowed reflection. And in remembering them tonight, perhaps we too can pause, breathe, and simply be. So let your mind wander slowly through these memories. Think of the soft click of a button, the dim glow of a small screen, the gentle hum of a fan in a room long ago. These devices do not demand attention. They do not try to impress. They are there, waiting, silent, steady, kind. And in this steadiness, they quietly changed our lives, not in moments of noise. Not in flashes of brilliance, but slowly, softly, in ways we might have overlooked. Tonight, as you drift closer to sleep, let these memories rest with you. Let the images of small screens, soft buttons, and quiet devices fill your mind gently. Feel the calm of their influence, the stillness of progress that did not shout. And let yourself be carried softly into rest. Remember this, even the quietest things can leave the deepest marks. Even small gadgets, forgotten by many, have shaped the way we think, connect, and live. And tonight, their story lives in your mind as you rest, as you breathe, and as you drift slowly, peacefully into sleep.